After seeing the Carol 360 and the GT6 lineup, I was excited because I love how these cars look and I thought there must be some really special things about the car for it to be included in the Gran Turismo series. After I began researching the car, however, I was disappointed. I was expecting some fantastic story of triumph over something, especially after reading about the Subaru 360, but no. After the success of the R360 Coupe, Mazda's first passenger vehicle, the first ever K Coupe, the first K car with a 4-stroke engine, the lightest K car ever at that point, I could keep going. But we're not talking about the R360 Coupe. The Carol 360 could seat 4 adults comfortably. This was a first for Mazda, but we've seen that before with the Subaru 360. The game claims that this car, the Deluxe 62, was, according to Mazda themselves and Wikipedia in Japanese, the Deluxe didn't come out until 63. On top of that, this is a 4-door. That also apparently didn't come out until 63. GT6 claims that the 1962 Carol was the Mazda's first 4-passenger car, but that's not true either. The R360 had 4 seats. They weren't comfortable seats, but you can't disregard them because they weren't comfortable. Ever been in the back of a Nissan Silvia? It's a 4-seater coupe. That's what you get. Relax. The Wikipedia pages for this car talk more about other cars than they do about this one. The Carol P600, the Mazda 800 Familia, the Mazda Shantez. The Carol 360 featured independent suspension all the way around with trailing arms front and rear. But aside from that, it seems the cliff roof shape borrowed from the Ford Anglia and Citroen Ami, and the side-mounted engine fan giving the car its signature noise are the only points of discussion. The Carol 360 came with a 358cc inline 4-cylinder making 18 horsepower. That's 2 horsepower more than the Subaru 360, but at a whopping 525 kilos compared to the 385 kilos of the Subaru. The power-to-weight ratio was a bit shit, and the people noticed. Making this video, I found that the game is actually all over the place. The weight in-game is listed as 560 kilograms. Wikipedia and Mazda would beg to differ there. The game claims that the Carol 360 was the first K car with an engine mounted horizontally, but the Subaru 360's engine was horizontal. It's a good thing this is just for entertainment purposes, or I'd flip a table. The game claims that the engine redlined too quickly due to the low gear ratio. I didn't see that information from any other source, and the car doesn't perform that way in game. Driving around Tsukuba for 100 kilometers, that's 48 laps, in one sitting, I never even used 4th gear. The engine just doesn't have the power to push the car in 4th. I couldn't find any top speed information on the net. I couldn't get to top speed on dirt, not enough road. Similar story on snow, but on the Route X course, I clocked 140 kilometers an hour when the rev limiter finally kicked in. Being that this car is a 4-cylinder, it is reportedly quiet and more refined than the Subaru 360, and that did help sales initially, but that dropped off pretty quickly. The power-to-weight ratio was just wrong. But it's a rear-engine, rear-wheel drive, so it's basically a Porsche. Yeah, nah. This car understeers quite badly and there's no snap oversteer. On a dirt road, I'd much rather be in the Subaru. On snow, I'd rather be in the Carol. On road? I'm not sure. According to the game, the Carol was very popular with enthusiasts because you could mess with the wheels and suspension to give them a wider stance with camber. They also say that the Carol 600 engine could fit in this chassis, and a few enthusiasts did the old switcheroo on the sly, but I've not seen that mentioned anywhere else. If this is true, it still didn't help save the car from its demise. Following the Subaru 360's lead, other manufacturers finally started to get the K formula right, and that pushed the Carol 360 further from the top. Mazda tried to slap a one-rotor Wankel engine in the car to try and up the power to compete, but the other manufacturers cried to the transport department, bribes were probably made, and the ruling of no rotary in K cars was written. With no other options, the car dwindled in sales until production was stopped. This car just never became the superstar that it really should have been, and judging by the lack of information on the car and how the focus of its own dedicated pages tend to be on other vehicles, it could be that Mazda's own neglect actually helped lead to its end. They were just too focused on the next thing rather than on this. It's very weird. Anyway, I still love how this car looks. I still kind of want to buy one, but I couldn't tell you why. There's just something about it.